Senator Cory Booker, known by some as the Bargain Bin Obama, has just broken the record for the longest Senate floor speech. So the senator from New Jersey spoke out against President Donald Trump and Elon Musk on the Senate floor throughout the night after beginning his marathon speech at 7 p.m. on Monday. More than 24 hours later, at 7:20 p.m. on Tuesday, Booker had broken the record for the longest Senate floor speech in history before finally calling it quits at 8:05 p.m. But what did he say in this 25-hour long rant? Pretty much nothing that we haven't heard before. His main point he was able to say toward the beginning of the speech that Trump in 71 days has inflicted so much harm on American safety, financial stability, the core foundations of our democracy, and even our aspirations as a people. From our highest offices, a sense of common decency. So yeah, coming from a Democrat, is there anything really new here? And yet that is such a big deal, even giving Booker a standing ovation, including those in the gallery and Senate pages. Senator Tina Smith was seen wiping a tear from her face, while Senator Cynthia Lumens was also seen standing and applauding. Now, while this was happening, the United States Capitol Police arrested one of Booker's staff for carrying a pistol without a license. That's right, guys, arrested. 59-year-old Kevin A. Batts of New Jersey is listed as a special assistant to Senator Cory Booker. Now, according to his spokesperson, Jeff Geertz, Booker's office employs a retired Newark police detective as a New Jersey-based driver who often accompanies him to events. So, maybe you should go about, getting your own house in order before you go off making these 25-hour long speeches on the Senate floor and ultimately wasting everyone's time. You know what I mean? Now, if you really want to see who's making history, all you have to see is President Trump welcoming infamous anti-Trump comedian Bill Maher into the White House and breaking bread with this guy. Kid Rock, being the one who brokered the meetup between the traditional foes, talked about it on Fox. It was him, Bill Maher, and Ultimate Fighting Championship CEO Dana White who was over for dinner with the president. Now, needless to say, all of them were suitably impressed by the MAGA commander-in-chief. Although Bill Maher has been one of the president's hardest critics and is obviously a very big liberal, Kid Rock said the dinner could not have been better. Now again, what a stand-up guy our president is to be humble and open enough to welcome one of the most vocal critics into his home. I mean, this guy once called Trump everything wrong with a human being stuffed into one man. And yet, according to Kid Rock, the evening could not have been better. Now that's making history, not that hateful rhetoric from Senator Cory Booker. Just watch this tiny little bit from his 25-hour tirade against the president. Watch.
We have a president who's come in, and one of the first things he's done in 71 days is insinuate fear and insecurity about Social Security by threatening it, by telling lies about it, and by having somebody like Elon Musk calling it a Ponzi scheme. And that's why we get fear. And then they take a hatchet to the actual agency that undermines its ability to deliver service in a good way. And the result of this pattern has seniors, letter after letter I wrote, using things like, I'm losing sleep, I'm terrified, I'm scared, help me please, telling the most painful stories about retirement insecurity, about health challenges. And so again, I have this expectation, whether you're a Republican or a Democratic president, you don't insinuate fear amongst vulnerable communities. You don't insinuate fear amongst our elders who deserve our respect and deserve to retire with dignity. You don't do that.
Now, I know you probably think that there would be more, but that was pretty much the gist of his speech. Basically, it was a whole lot of talking plenty and saying nothing. You know what I mean, guys? This is pretty much on brand for his party, I gotta say. Hey, by the way, guys, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. But yeah, let's talk about Senator Cory Booker and his latest marathon filibuster for a hot minute here. Now, of course, you may remember him from his famous I am Spartacus moment a few years ago during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Well, he's back at it again. So Booker stood up on the Senate floor just after 7 p.m. Monday night, declaring that he planned to disrupt the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as he's physically able, claiming America is in crisis because of President Trump's agenda. He talked nonstop for over 25 hours. That's even longer than Strom Thurmond's famous 1957 speech against civil rights legislation, which lasted just a little over 24 hours. And interestingly enough, Booker's speech is not technically a filibuster, since he was not opposing any specific legislation, though he was able to talk for as long as he remained standing. And in that 25-hour-long, not a filibuster, Booker criticized the president for what he called harming Americans' safety, financial stability, democracy, and basic decency all in the first 71 days back in office. Now, he specifically accused Republicans of targeting Medicaid and Medicare to fund tax cuts for billionaires and for corporations, even though Trump has repeatedly said before that he's not going to be touching American Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, but he wants to weed out fraud. Still, throughout this session, Booker read messages from people worried about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And since he had the time, he also called out President Trump's administration for pulling funding from Ivy League schools like Columbia University for being too woke. He described his protest as good trouble, borrowing a phrase from the late civil rights leader John Lewis. Now, he also spent some time quoting John McCain and conservative critics of Trump's tariff policies just to emphasize his points. Now, I'm telling you guys, he pulled from all sorts of sources for the speech. He even had a binder of quotes that he brought up as a backup. Senator Chris Murphy, he was there as Booker's wingman, providing breaks and support throughout the marathon session, calling Booker's effort extraordinary, and even said that he was returning the favor as Booker joined him when he launched a filibuster to demand action on gun violence 9 years ago. Now, of course, reactions are mixed. Senator John Cory sarcastically asked on social media, "Is anybody listening?" And Alexandra DeLuca, who previously worked for Booker, joked that Booker regularly drinks enough caffeine on a normal day to stay up 72 hours, so a speech this long really wasn't very surprising. The bottom line here, Booker certainly made some noise, but did it really lead to anything meaningful? That, I'm gonna let you guys decide on that. Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below. Give this video a like if I'm making sense to you guys. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications for the latest updates on Washington and our president. All right, so let's continue with the discussion here. And while Senator Booker was breaking a U.S. record on the Senate floor, his staffer was also breaking something else, the law. Kevin Batts, an assistant to the senator and a New Jersey-based driver, according to his staff, was apprehended by Capitol Police for carrying a gun without a license. And this guy goes all the way back with Book. In 2016, Booker shared a video of Batts on social media and said that Kevin Batts has been a friend and a team member since 2006 when he became mayor, and even before then. So he says he's truly blessed by his friendship and loyal hard work. But man, I don't know how Booker's really going to feel about this guy after this news of him getting arrested overshadows his Senate speech. What do you guys think? And hey guys, I keep getting messages from you guys, comments saying, "Hey Ron, I keep missing your videos. I keep missing the breaking news. Can you please make sure I get notified?" So I've taken care of you guys. All you got to do is hit the link in the description down below this video or in the pinned comment and join the breaking news newsletter. That's it, totally free. Now, apart from that, there's also the very exciting headline of Kid Rock bringing Bill Maher to the White House to meet Trump. And like the man said, it left everyone's mind blown. So here's a clip of him talking about the dinner with the two supposed enemies. Watch.
Right. Bill Maher may be one of President Trump's most vocal critics, but that didn't stop him from getting an invitation to dinner at the White House last night.
So how did it go? Music superstar Kid Rock arranged it all, and he joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, kids.
Good morning. All right, tell us what happened from start to finish in 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, I went on Bill's show. I went on his podcast, and I said, man, you know, nothing happens if people don't break bread together and meet face to face. He's been one of the president's hardest critics, and we came to dinner, me, Bill, Dana White, and it could not have been better. Everyone was so surprised, so pleasant. The most shocking thing to me was, you know, Bill's obviously a very big liberal, been very hard on the president, but he's donated a lot of money to other politicians. You know, you've had Biden, Clinton, Obama, everybody. He had never been to the White House, and the president was so gracious. He took us up to the private residence. We saw the Gettysburg Address in the Lincoln bedroom, and I was like, "You've never been here, Bill?" And I was like, "How about this? President Trump, you know, extending this olive branch," and we talked about things we had in common, you know, ending wokeness, you know, securing the border. Right. You know, the president was asking him what he thought about policy, you know, going on with Iran and Israel and things. It just meant it blew my mind. It was, right. I was, you know, very, very proud.
Now, some very important context here, guys. The HBO real-time host has been a vocal critic of President Trump over the years, even calling him everything wrong with a human being stuffed into one man and saying he was afraid of him on a very personal level. For his part, Trump has referred in the past to Bill Maher as Crazy Bill, slamming his TV show as boring, and saying that the comic suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. But at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Kid Rock said everyone was so surprised, so pleasant. They talked about everything that they had in common: ending wokeness, securing the border. The president asked him what he thought about policy going on with Iran and Israel and things. So yeah, for the 54 musician, it blew his mind. And honestly, mine too. Who would have thought Kid Rock would be so wholesome in this crazy century of ours, right? And you know what? This just goes to show the real difference between good guys and bad guys. It's whether they can show each other hospitality despite their differences. You know what I mean? So definitely kudos to Kid Rock for setting this up. Also, kudos to Bill Maher for accepting the offer. And kudos to President Trump for being so cordial despite Bill Maher's past condescension and ridicule. The goal for Kid Rock in organizing the meeting between President Trump and Bill Maher at the White House, setting up a get-together between the political adversaries and actually model a little more civility in this country. And his assessment after the night, he said it could not have been better. So yeah, like I said earlier, guys, Kid Rock arranged it as one of Trump's most prominent celebrity supporters. It wasn't just them. The trio was also joined by Ultimate Fighting Championship CEO Dana White. And in just that one night with a simple dinner setup, President Trump, with the help of Kid Rock, was able to deliver a very powerful message that beat whatever Senator Booker was trying to do on the Senate floor. Now, as Kid Rock put it, nothing happens if people don't break bread together and meet face to face. Because although Bill Maher has been one of the president's hardest critics and is obviously a very big liberal, the performer said the dinner could not have been better. Now, we haven't heard an official word from Bill Maher yet, but he did talk about it on his podcast before it happened. He compared the dinner with Trump to the then President Nixon's historic trip to China in 1972. He also told News Nation host Chris Cuomo last week that he doesn't have some sort of a complex where he thinks that he can heal America, because he can't. President Trump also wrote in a social media post before the meal that he didn't like the idea much of sitting down with Bill Maher, but thought it would be interesting and it might be fun. In his summary of the White House visit, Kid Rock described Trump as so gracious, even showing the group the private residence, the Gettysburg Address, and the Lincoln bedroom. He said the president called him and said everyone was a little suspect about going into this. But Kid Rock reassured him and said that, hey, they're just, trying to show people that even though they've been pretty hard on one another, that when you get face to face, maybe we can have a little bit more civility in this country and try to bring people together. You see, as simple as that, guys, right? I mean, you don't have to waste 25 hours of people's time on the Senate floor to do it. You know what I mean, guys? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. And if you want more of the latest updates, then definitely check out our recommended videos that are coming up next. Lots of powerful discussions there too. So definitely worth your time. Anyway, thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.